Hello. Hello and welcome to our Borderless JS conference, the second day. So yesterday we had the first day and it was full of great talks. So yesterday we had talk about the ECMAScript 2024. Then we had this AI development ecosystem for JavaScript. And we had automation meets GS. We had building your career with GS, exploring ecosystem of AWS, and everything was like finalized with the vector databases and drag for JavaScript developers. And today we do have our second day of the event. And today we have our second day, right? So we had a lot of talks in place, as I can imagine that you already know the agenda. So my like initial task for you guys will be the following as yesterday. So feel free to drop your comments in the YouTube channel, right? Or whatever platform you're watching us. Do not hesitate to subscribe and click notification button to see all the updates. And let me actually jump to our first talk today, which is composable partners, how to grow business with them using GS background and AI. Well, you might be curious from this specific topic. So let me drop my mic to our speakers, to Emina and Brian. They are alliance managers. So Emina is from Poland. Brian is talking from Canada. So guys, over to you. And
thanks, Pavel. Greatly
Thanks.
appreciate everybody being here. Ermina?
Yeah, thank you for having us. We're super excited to take you on a composable/Mac journey and to get to know what partners we are working with. So let's start with the MACH Alliance. What is even MACH Alliance and why we are a part of MACH Alliance? So at EPAM, we advocate for modern digital platform architecture principles. Then, therefore, we decided to be a co-founder back in 2021 of a MACH Alliance. And what is MACH Alliance? MACH Alliance is just a non-profit organization that gathers different size of companies, starting from startups to more complex organizations that have basically a similar technology vision. And they want to just do great things within the digital digital transformation. And I think right now, Brian, if I'm not mistaken, we have over 110 members of MACH Alliance, and the number is continuously growing as basically the digital ecosystem is expanding. We have more and more members.
Yeah, that's a lot of partners for you and I to manage, huh?
Yeah, exactly. Challenging. You can go to the next slide.
Sure. So when we actually talk about MACH, there's four different, like MACH actually means something. It's not just an acronym. So it's microservices, API first, cloud, and headless. I was actually at an event just 2 days ago with Brian Gilmore, who's head of the MACH practice over here in North America. And him and I were kind of having a bit of a joke that sooner or later, cloud is going to turn into composable. All of these services have to run on a cloud. They are composable services. So what MACH is trying to do is bring together all these different organizations and group on somebody's digital transformation of moving away from using just one all-in-one suite to choosing best of breed. So the way I think about MACH is, if you remember, those of us who are a little bit older, they used to have tons of apps out available for the stores or for your phone. They have them all over the place. You had to go to this site to download it, that site to download it, and what to do from there. But then all of a sudden, you had the stores created, like what iPhone did. Me as an ex-Nokia employee had OV Store. Yes, I am dating myself there. So that's what MACH is helping to do, is to tell people where they can go to find the best of breed for their content management, for their e-commerce platform, for all of the different type of people, different types of solutions, PIM and DAM, that they can go find all very quickly and have the conversations about modernizing their infrastructure that they are using in the background. And again, all of these use JavaScripting in the background, and as part of their coding. And the purpose today for us here is to talk about MACH, to also show you and highlight our key partners, as Ermina mentioned, but also to kind of show you some of the cool things that we're doing as well. We've also heard a lot of words about AI and the buzz around that. And we have one or two slides that hopefully you guys don't laugh too much at some of the images of Ermina and I. That said, why don't we talk about our competency? Because we do have a whole competency center that's built around MACH.
Yeah, this slide is basically summarizing how huge the MACH Competency Center is and how much investment and how much effort has been made to build such an extensive and very diversified expertise. So right now we have over 2,600 experienced consultants, engineers, and we have over 500 certified professionals. And this is not the end. We are continuously growing these numbers, but at the same time, we are making sure that the investment done in the certification/training is basically optimized, and it's dependent on the demand, actual demand from the market, to make sure that we are not over investing in trainings. And that we have always great set of skills and every expertise whenever it's needed. And this is also an example where me and Brian, we're trying to support MACH Competency Center by monitoring together with the dedicated team the number of certifications and number of trainings that we are pursuing with each partner, especially with those strategic ones. So we are constantly monitoring that, and we make sure that we are on the right track. On to the next slide, please.
So the other thing I would also like to highlight on this slide is the Competency Center actually does monthly partner sessions. They do the technical sections as well for you guys to attend to get some more updates on internal views of a partner or of a product. But we also have an agreement with them that usually at the end of every month, you will see a partner-led session. So I don't know if we have one scheduled yet for the end of this month, but we have other partners like Shopify. They're not a member of MACH, but they are something we're very interested in, and we will be doing a session on that in early November. We just did a session with Commerce Tool at the end of last month. We're continually letting our partners come in to do an education piece to kind of give awareness on what their product is. And if they're one of our key partners, this will be their second time coming around. So they will also be giving you updates on what they're doing. Especially a lot of them are all talking around generative AI and how they're using AI in their e-commerce platform or in their CMS platform. So when we talk that we have 100 partners, do we manage all 100 partners as equally? No. We look at the partners that we have out there and the members of MACH that we are doing a lot of business with. And we have some of our key ones that we have metrics, both Ermina and I, as well as the MACH CC, to make sure that we're getting the revenue from them. And because we're getting the revenue from them, we need people certified to do the projects. So we're always monitoring this, as Ermina said. And as you can see here in the couple of the different categories, you have things like our content management, you have Contentful and Content Stack. In our commerce, we have Commerce Tools and BigCommerce, right? In our front end, you can use Allokai, Vercel, right? Even, talk about Netlify a little bit there as well. Same thing for experience management on the CDP. You have Ampliness and Uniform. Search, Algolia we have a couple of opportunities with both over here in North America and in Europe that we're working on together. Same thing with Bloomreach. We've been talking to the order management team. Fluent is there. We have One Stock as somebody who's always trying to knock on the door to come work with us. Same thing for DAM. So I work with Eugene Navakov and the PIM and DAM team, because the reason why I'm going through all this is you're going to notice that we work with the PIM and DAM team. We have the MACH Competency Center. We have the PIM and DAM team as well that we are working with. Payments team, so we're working with that team as well. So we have Stripe as one of our key partners. We do work a little bit with Adyen as well. So MACH is growing, and as it grows, it's starting to get outside of just working under, for me working with Mr. Gilmore over here, right, and Ermina working with that team there, but also getting into the payments team, the loyalty team, the PIM and DAM team. So we're not just siloed into one part. And then all of these guys, as I said, it's cloudless. They work on AWS and Google Cloud as well as Microsoft Azure. Mr. Gilmore and I were actually just at the AWS event where we were sitting down with their resellers, and we found a significant number of opportunities and targets to work on together. So the whole goal of all these partners is to take people from that, ecosystem of you bought your SAP, you're using Hybris, you're using Adobe, you're using Salesforce Commerce Cloud, right? You're using Acquia for your content, and being able to not completely get rid of those guys if you don't want to, but slowly piecemeal things off. A very good example of that is our CMS connector. We'll talk about it a little bit later on, that we created that goes into Salesforce, right? So you can have Contentful or Content Stack go and actually use their CMS, because Salesforce realized that their CMS was not as good as what was out there within the MACH world. You're going to see that more and more. SAP is going composable, partially composable. Same thing for Adobe. Acquia is starting to call that as well. You're seeing guys understand that they can't be the best to everybody. So what they're doing is opening their APIs up, opening up their connections, so that way partners or other members within the MACH, for example, can come in. Some things are replacement, like a commerce tools, and BigCommerce will compete against, Hybris, will compete against Salesforce Commerce Cloud. That's totally understandable from there. But it also doesn't mean that you have to completely get off of Salesforce to go over. You can still keep Salesforce for your CRM, but you can move to this side of things to be able to pick up what you guys need or what the customers need as the best of breed. That's great. That's an awesome thing to see. EPAM makes a significant amount of revenue for doing the implementations for these, because of all these different parts that you have. The way that I see EPAM, we're the guys with the needle and thread, putting together the content management, putting together the e-commerce, the front end, and all the rest of it together to build that website for people out there. And it's nice to see some of the great work that we've done. And there's a number of different customers and across different verticals that we have seen. Ramina, you want to talk about this one, or should I take this one?
Yeah, it's just basically to highlight how vast experience we have. It's really hard to say what we are really good at, because we're present in every vertical. As you can see, we're gonna soon hit the number of 100 successful MACH stories, MACH/composable stories, and as you can see, we are quite present in every vertical. Although I think, as you can see, the strongest one is still retail and distribution. And it just shows that we have really experience in different pillars of digital ecosystem. I just wanted also to bring something to your attention, because not sure if you notice how we operate with the word MACH/composable. I will explain why. I don't want to put a label on word MACH, but not necessarily every partner being a part of the MACH Alliance is basically in other words, the partners, there are also other partners that don't belong to MACH Alliance, but they're still offering headless solutions, headless/composable. So we are not only limiting ourselves to working with basically MACH Alliance members, we are also doing a great work outside of MACH Alliance, as Brian mentioned, with, for example, with Antavo, our one of the biggest loyalty vendors. They do not belong to MACH Alliance, but nevertheless, they are offering headless solution. So I just want to bring this to your attention, that sometimes we operate with these two terms.
And the other thing is this is just a quick list of different organizations that we've done implementations for, and it's already out of date. This was updated a month ago, and things like Bosch and Loam is not on there. We won that with Commerce Tools. So these are always being updated as far as talking about the different verticals that we go across. Healthcare and life sciences, Ermina is going to talk next about Commerce Tools. We actually helped them create their HIPAA solution to make sure that they were compliance within HIPAA and keeping patients' information very secretive. As we all know, we don't want any of that coming out. So we're growing all the time. More and more companies are choosing EPAM to work for doing their implementations. And as you know, Ermina said, mock is just a term. It's a nice, and I kind of was hoping to get across that with my store thing was it's just a term to let people know where to go to take a look at Composable. But there are a number of partners out there that are going headless. And Tavo is a great one. I mentioned Shopify has a headless solution that they want to present to us in early November. We're continuing to grow the business and grow our partnerships as customers are asking for it. So it's really great to see. It gives you guys a lot of opportunities as well to continue to work on your JS, but also to do certifications with a number of these partners. So why don't we go in and highlight a couple of the key partners that we have globally, because I don't want to go through 100 partners. We'd be here until tomorrow if I did that. Let's just pick a couple high, our top 4, shall we say. So Ermina?
Yeah, so we start with Commerce Tools. Basically, Commerce Tools is our biggest MACH/composable partner in terms of revenue, in terms of the investment done in certifications and trainings, as well as in delivered projects. So right now we are the only partner that delivered over 40 projects globally. So we're just industry leading, and this. It goes without saying that that's the reason why we got the Best Partner of the Year, Global Best Partner of the Year award. We received that during the biggest event where we were main sponsors, Elevate in Miami this year in April. And we are really proud of that achievement. And this year has been particularly successful. We are also working on a quite interesting offering, MACH offering with Commerce Tools, which is called Race. And soon we will launch a marketing campaign and GTM, full GTM, at least for now in EMEA, which will be gradually expanded to different regions. And I think something which is also worth mentioning is that right now we're basically rolling out Commerce Tools and later on Contentful, our CMS partner, within Sephora. So our biggest aspiration is to be a global SI provider for Sephora, together with Commerce Tools and Contentful. And that's a big initiative. And we've been quite successful. We've been successful in MENA region, and right now we are doing a rollout in APAC. So it just shows how great our partnership is and what kind of engagement we can expect from our partners.
Speaking of Sephora, do you think we should be able to ask if they give like employee discounts to contractors?
I hope so. I hope so.
I know my wife.
And just not to mention that, Sephora is a part of a bigger LVMH group that gathers all the luxurious brands. So I think it's a really great pursuit that we are doing with our partners.
No, I don't know. I think my wife is personally keeping Sephora alive here in Canada. Every other day I get a box. So please, let's talk to Nicholas and Linda and see what we can do.
Exactly.
Okay, joking aside though, with Commerce Tools, we are the #1 implementer in the world. We've done more implementations of Commerce Tools than anybody else, any of our competition. We know how to, do it, get it done quickly, get it done correctly. We've actually come into some customers where we're actually saving their Commerce Tools implementation, where they hired somebody else who then did not do the job properly. And customers are calling us up saying, hey, can you come in and fix what other people have done? So that's talks about our engineering side and you guys on the development side, how great you guys are, right? And that we're known for being able to do that kind of things. But so that also then turns around to say that when Commerce Tools has an opportunity, they're coming to us because they don't, the sales team just wants to sell it and not have to worry about it anymore. They're off to the next one. They don't want to continue to have to worry about, is the project going to be implemented? Are they doing everything they need to do for the customer? Is, are the customer concerns being answered? They don't want to monitor that because salespeople, they have quotas and they want to, close it as quickly as possible. So they close the deal, pass it to a CSM and move on. With us, they can do that. And we've had lots of great implementations. And like I say, we've even saved them on a couple ones as well. Let's move over to content management. So Content Stack, this is one of our key partners that we have. We were at their big event, Content Con, both in London as well as in nice cold Austin in May. It wasn't cold, it was super hot. But we've done, again, a number of different implementations with them across a number of different types of customers, not just CPGR, but things like Metrolinx. So me being a Canadian, Metrolinx is near and dear to my heart because that's my local transportation. They run they run the trains, they build the subways up here in Toronto region. So those of us up, those of us that are on the call from the Toronto or the GTA area. So we have McKesson, we have Morningstar, Burberry, Paula's Choice. Paula's Choice is actually an interesting one because Paula's Choice is the first connection with Salesforce customer. So we have a connector that we built that allows you to be able to use Salesforce, but then have the CMS of your choice, as I mentioned earlier in the presentation. And Paula's Choice is the first customer to pick that. So they're able to keep their Salesforce Commerce Cloud. They're able to keep all the rest of the Salesforce things, but they're moving over towards the other side of the, picking the best of breed for composability. Now, the other thing also that you're seeing in the world is, especially in the MACH world or composable world, is AI. So last year, and this is a slide that you guys can have a good laugh at, we worked together with Commerce Tools to come up with a concept of generative AI. Right? AI was being talked about, AI this, AI that, and all the rest. People were like, well, what is AI going to do for my business? What can it do? What can it help out with? So with Content Stack, Aprimo, and ourselves, we turned around and created a composable heroes trading card, right? So I know that it's a great picture of me that you can see up there as the, Alliance King, right? And Ermina being the little fairy there. But it's a bit of a joke, but also what happened was when we were showing this off to customers, they were starting to get their heads around what they can do with AI. So you could go to a website, type in what's your job title, answer a couple quick little, check mark boxes of who you are, right? And you could kind of choose what type of person do you want to be. My counterpart, Mr. Gilmore, he's the Indiana Jones, right? So he has a picture like that. And Brian, if you're on this call, I did take that picture off just because I'm being nice. But this is the kind of stuff that we were able to show off. We went to an event in Europe where there was a lot of, it was a hiring event, and the customer was trying to get university students to want to come and work for them. And we showed this off, and it was the #1 puller for like over 150 people hit it up at once just to say, hey, create my card. I want to see this. This is kind of cool. This is what this stuff that you guys are working on as a customer. And I want to go work at that, in that organization. So this is something that we have. It is in the background. It's being used at different events as per needed. And I know Ermina and I's manager, Mark Simpson, he's asking for it again for another event to be able to use it. And we have our own instance that we've been working on. We can always ask the partner to say, hey, can you just turn this on for 24 hours or 48 hours? And they're happy to do that because of the relationship we have. So this is kind of something, like I say, that helps take all the words that we talk about, or our competencies go in and talk about AI, our experts go in and talk about AI, but it's great to talk about it. Now let's get to be seen. Partners now are going out and talking about how they're using AI to create on the composable space almost like an endless aisle, right? And have AI generate the information about the product, to have AI continually put up, if you typed in, oh, I'm looking at this red sweater, well, here's another 30 sweaters of different colors, as well as same color but different styles that you can swipe through to be able to find the exact sweater that you want to have. So it's kind of cool to see. It's kind of something that's unique and a little bit different, and gets us outside of that very businessy type frame of this is how long it's going to take, what's the latency side, what's this and that. You're now being able to see the fruits of the labor on something fun like this, which has made a number of customers more interested, especially last year. And again, we're using this at different events to get customers to come in and to start the conversation about, hey, what are you guys doing around AI? What's your planning around it, and how we're being able to use. Contentful? Ramin, I believe this one's yours.
Yeah, I will try to be brief because we already talk a lot about CMS partners. That's another partner, a CMS vendor, and it's also the most strategic partner next to Content Stack. They're basically on the very same level of engagement and in terms of revenue. I just wanted to highlight a few things that we've recently seen a very interesting trend for our CMS partners around AI. So basically, Content Stack released this year a set of different AI personalization features, and then just not long time after their product release, Contentful announced that they acquired Ninetail, which is a company also specializing in AI personalization features. So we see that it goes like a domino. So one CMS vendor decides to basically launch AI features, and it's gonna be repeated by other vendors within the composable ecosystem. So there is indeed a lot of hype around AI, not only with our CMS vendors, but also, for example, with our search and loyalty partners. But unfortunately, we don't have that much time today to talk you through this. And in terms of Contentful, as I mentioned, we are right now very busy with Sephora project. So together with Commerce Tools, our e-commerce strategic partner, and Contentful, we are driving Sephora globally. And as I said, our aspiration is to really nail it down to the point where we'll be a global SI for Sephora together with Contentful and Commerce Tools.
So the last partner that we're going to highlight, so our key four, over here in North America, BigCommerce, so a competitor to Commerce Tools, is somebody that we've been working with closely now for a couple of years. And we do have 59 people certified, and we're working on some pretty big projects, Metrolinx being the biggest one of all, out of all the customers there. USGA is a small little one. Procter & Gamble is a company none of us have ever heard of before, right? So they're in a large number of our customers. And the nice thing to see about that is we're growing the business. We're growing the practice as well. We have 59 people that are certified. The interesting thing is, if you've been paying attention to the slides, is you'll see us call out certifications versus number familiar. And usually that number is 10x, right? So you guys are going through the trainings, you're spending the time and effort to get trained on the product, but you're not finishing the certification. Please do. Please get that certification, get the badge. We'll put it up onto experts. So that way, when a next project comes along, as this one, as the project you're working on starts to sunset and they start to close it down to just be a different level or moving on to a different thing, you have these certifications that we are always bringing in more business. So we are always looking for more people who are certified, that we can say, hey, we have a new big commerce project with XYZ customer. Awesome. We have 60 guys, 70 guys, 100 people who are certified, and we can reach out to you guys to say, hey, here's a project. Are you interested in working on it? And get you continue to work on great little projects and solutions that we have. So with BigCommerce, we saw them as an up and comer originally, as they moved in towards where EPAM's ICP is, of the $1 billion or more, or the interesting logos like Livewire. And there's lots of great stories that we have around that. And but yeah, the big thing for us is, you guys, when you are doing the learnings, a lot of these ones are fairly easy to go through. They're not too intensive. Take the exam at the end of it. That way we get notification. We can give you the badge, and we can always know that, hey, you've done this. When your project is coming to an end, we can get you set up for your next project. We're already, you already have the certification, so you can work on the next big commerce thing. And the other nice part about, while I'm on the little spiel about certifications, is that you can get certified in all of these different key partners as well as a bunch of other ones. So that way, as we have projects that come up, again, you do your big commerce certification, you decide that, okay, I want to learn something new. I want to learn about CMS. Great. So you get your content stack or your contentful certification. We can now put you onto those projects from there. So let's go into some of our customers, because I know we've been talking for about a half an hour now. Ermino, do you want to pick one? And then I'll pick one.
Yeah, go on, go first.
Okay, so Dawn Foods. Dawn Foods is a project that we did about 4 years ago. When COVID hit, they had to change the way they did business. So they turned around and came to EPAM and worked with the MACH composable organizations and asked EPAM to help them redevelop their ordering site. So this wasn't just a customer facing, this was in the back end for their sales guys who are out on the road. They used to have to fill in forms, fax it in or email in saying, I want to order this much, this much flour, this much coloring, this stuff, things like that from there. So they changed their whole back end of their system so that now guys can go out on their phones or their tablets, right? And be able to go onto the website, order up right on the spot for their customers, right? Oh, we need to order this, we need to order that. So the people went from being order takers to actually being salespeople as well. They were able to talk to the guys to say, hey, here's the newest formula for these muffins. There's the newest formula for this bread, and they saw a massive increase on online orders of 25%, as well as 50% of their customers moved from the faxing or the phone calls to now just doing it through the ordering system that we helped to create. So when you see in the MACH Alliance, Dawn Foods is like the shining star. You'll always hear about them. You'll hear about their stories quite a bit. We do have a number of case studies that are public facing that I'm happy to share. Ermina, pick one.
Yeah, I think we are running a bit out of time, but I will just mention Primark because it's the most recognizable project within the retail industry that we've done with together with Commerce Tools, Amplience, Fluent Commerce, and Bloomreach. It's basically Primark is one of the biggest multinational retail chains offering clothes, beauty, and home products. And what we did here is we basically connected online to offline by increasing their retail revenue for about 81%. This is a really recognizable brand. They are very happy with our implementation. They keep on speaking at different events together with us. We conducted a great case study that went public. So definitely something to be proud of, and exploring more. Hopefully we will get more and more projects like Primark and the other one listed here on this slide.
Awesome. So speaking of projects, we are out there creating accelerators and offerings. Ermina talked about Race, for example. I know that one quite well because I was working on a presentation on that we presented on Wednesday. So with Commerce Tools, Race is the one that just got created. And what it is a very quick, for 200K, 6 to 8 weeks implementation, right? Through the AWS marketplace, customers can order this up, that we can do a very quick API implementation of Commerce Tools, get it up onto the website very quickly. So that way it's not multi-million dollars to do things. It's if they need something quick and easy, they can choose us to do that from there. We do have the B2B booster, which is something that was, we looked at last year and said, hey, B2B is growing quite big, so let's create some, some quicker ways of us doing implementations of B2B, and we continue to grow. Then you have things like the MACH strategy activation. This is where the pre-sales team created a nice solution that they'll come in, look at your your tech stack that you have, look at what you're doing, and use the expertise of EPAM to say, hey, this is where you can improve. This is where we think you can do things better. There's some new technology you maybe do not know about, and we can help you formulate your strategy of where you want to go, and help continue, making sure that you're at the leading edge of what you're doing. Very interesting. I mean, I was looking at Marriott hotels. I was checking out yesterday morning, and the guy was showing me his screen, and he's still using a DOS format. I'm still surprised the number of people I think are still using AS400, which is for an ordering, management system. It's DOS. It was created back in the 1980s. I used that 15 years ago when I was at as a store manager. So this is allowing people haven't done the updates yet because they're worried. They're keeping their legacy platforms. But those who are taking the jumps, they're seeing the significant improvements as we've shown off. Talked very quickly about our composable content with content stack and Salesforce, right? We can also put, do contentful as well into that connector. We just need to change a couple quick things. We have Commerce Tools and Acquia. We did a number of customers in the implementations. And then the other thing that we didn't put on the slide here is partners are coming to us saying, we're going to pay you, money to create our connector. Cloudinary did that, right? They came to us and said, hey, can you create this connector so that we can connect into Commerce Tools and a bunch of other people, and we'll pay you for it, right? So you kind of see that stuff happening all the time because of our expertise of you guys, right? Our developing community that we have. And we're getting more and more of those coming to us saying, hey, we would like to do this. We also get our key partners coming to us with ideas of, hey, can we get in the connector? So like this race activation, I had content management guys asking about it. I had search people asking, saying, hey, how can I get a part of this as well? How can we be a part of race? It's because EPAM is so well known for creating good products, right? And doing great work that you guys do. So they keep coming to us wanting to work more and more with us from there. Anything else, Amina, do you think I've missed?
No, I think you pretty much covered everything. It's just we have basically different solutions with our key stakeholders within our partner ecosystem. But sometimes these solutions are not actually implemented at the customer, but they are sort of door openers. So once they do appear on the market, they open the door for us to initiate conversations with different customers, prospects, and they just help us to start the whole process. And when we win the process, we can sort of agree that it was still worth pursuing creating such solution. Although it wasn't implemented, but it kind of contributed to winning a deal all in all, which is actually a case for B2B Booster and composable content and commerce accelerator.
Awesome. So we're at the end. Happy to answer any questions that you guys have. So Pavel, if you've been pinged by anybody, please feel free to lead some in. But that said, Ermina and I are here to help you guys, right? So if there's any questions, any conversations you want to have, feel free to reach out to us. Feel free to reach out to the MACH Competency Center as well to say, I want to be certified. I'd love to get certified on this product. I'm hearing about this project. I would love to get myself updated. That said, Pavel, do we have any questions?
Yeah, sure. Well, actually, we do have one question from the audience right now. But before I jump into the question section, I do want to say huge thanks to you guys. Really well done, really detailed presentation with a lot of facts, with a lot of details. Thank you very much for that. So the question from the audience is the following. Just in case if you are like the right person to answer that, but still, so quote, I had a little experience with Commerce Tools SDK, and it seems to me that the documentation does not cover all the features of SDK, although maybe I am wrong. So could you comment a bit on that?
Do you want to take it, Ermina, or should I?
Yeah, it's just in terms of documentation, I'm not sure if we're talking about the documentation provided by the partner or the documentation that we have basically available within EPAM internal storage. So if that could be specified.
So
I think
let's
that's
take
sort of
both.
like a partner's documentation.
Yeah.
Just my guess.
So let's go through the both sides. So if there is things missing from the SDK and you guys have questions about it, feel free to reach out to us. We know a lot of people over at our partners, not just our key ones. So we can reach out to Michael, who's in charge of the training team over at Commerce Tools. We can say, hey, there's questions around this SDK. We can reach out and use our contacts to get you guys the answers you want. So for this example with Commerce Tools, I think Ermina and I could reach out to either Michael, who's in charge
Yeah,
of their training. We could
absolutely.
also reach out to, you have Juliana Ermina, I have Alexandra. We could reach out to them and say, hey, can you get us a technical person just to jump on the phone with us because one of our developers has some questions, and they can lead you through things because they're bringing up stuff all the time. Same with all of our other partners. And I'm sure that there's going to be cases of something's been launched that they just haven't
Yeah.
fully built out the documentation for just yet.
I think the point is just to treat us as facilitators, as the first point of contact when it comes to partnerships, composable headless partnerships. So we are here for you. We are always make sure to put you in touch with the right people on partner side. If there is any information missing in our internal KB page, or you need any information regarding the partnership, please feel free to contact me, ping me, or Brian, and we are always happy to help. If you have some, for example, interesting ideas, some interesting ideas about the initiatives that you would like to pursue with our partners, we are also sort of the bridge between the partners and EPAM, and we are always happy to support these initiatives and put you in touch with the right people on the partner side. So if you're missing anything in particular within given partnership, please loop us in, please ping us. We will be there to support you.
Okay, I see. Thank you very much. Well, actually, we do have another question. So it is the following. Can you please briefly explain the key things to recognize the need of having a MACH architecture in place on a new or existing system?
So when you're looking at some of the key things to recognize is the limitations of what you have with the current system, right? The mock partners, their ecosystem is built so that it's interoperable. And please don't make me say that word again. I can't believe I got it right. But what it actually does is the whole thing about mock is it's not just a marketing term. To get a part of it, you have to have coding that's built so that the CMS can connect into the e-commerce platform. The e-commerce platform can connect into the CMS, PIM, DAM, and all the rest. And they're easily connected. And that's where we're doing our work. So it's the other thing also is to take a look at what they're using right now and what their architecture is using right now. A lot of this is headless, so it's all the back end things. So if you need something with the proper storefront, we'll talk to Alokai. We have a number of people capable from there. As far as the other things to look at is what are the limitations that they currently have? What can't they do? And as we all know, every partner does things a little bit differently. Every partner has some limitations on what they can do around the API calls. For example, on a commerce, there could be a limitation around taxes and multinationals. They could be working on something, but it's just not there right now. The same thing as well as the limitations and the differentiations between our CMS partners. Right, they do things a little bit different here. They do a little bit things different there, and that's why us as a company, customers are coming to us to say, hey, can you recommend the best CMS for us? I know I can't say who the company is, but I know that we are doing that right now for a customer, and we've done that in the past where we're presenting out to the customer. They're letting them make their own decision around it. We are just giving the benefits, number of API calls, number of different differentiators between the two partners that we have, and we're letting the customer choose at the end of the day. Us, or Mina and I, we love all our partners equally, right? We're never going to put the scale to one way or the other because as partner managers, we always want to be the politicians. But that's how we kind of see things from there. Now, Kate, I don't know if I was really very elegant on answering your question that you have around that, but hopefully I've given a little bit more for you, and I'm happy to kind of connect you with somebody else who can, like Brian Gilmore, who can help you answer that question a little bit more detailed.
I think the key message here is just that the customer, let's say, who is on a monolithic platform, transforming into MACH, going composable, has this freedom, flexibility to choose the best of breed technologies within that tech stack. And they can just decide whatever direction they can go to. And that's something that they're missing within the monolithic platforms. We have a lot of cases like that. But nowadays, we are quite more agile because you can see a trend of combining actually monolithic platforms with composable solutions. So as Brian mentioned before, we had, for example, an instance where the customer is using Salesforce Commerce Cloud, but they are running on a composable content management system. So therefore, we have sort of this hybrid approach. So you see a different patterns, either going 100% composable or sort of thinking of saving money, saving the cost of ownership, and remaining on existing platform, but still entering a composable ecosystem. So there are different approaches, and it's usually you start from asking what are the pain points of the customer, what are the biggest pain points, and this is how you navigate through the MACH offerings, and you try to sort of adapt and you try to offer the best of breed solution that will basically answer the need of the customers, the customer in this case. I hope it
All right.
answers a
I
bit.
got it. Yeah. Thanks, both of you guys. Thank you very much. Well, note to the audience, guys, if you still do have some questions, please put your comments into the comment section so Brian and Amina can answer them later on after the talk. I hope that, guys, you are okay with it, because we are kind of like limited in time, if you don't mind. All right. So thanks again. Well done. And what a great opening for the second day of the conference. Thank you, guys.
Thank you so much for having us. Thanks, everyone. Bye.
All right. Welcome back. This is the Borderless JS conference, the second day, and we are actually doing just fine. So I hope that you enjoy this conference. Feel free to post all your comments, all your questions, all your notes into the comment section. And how about we explore further, right? Because we are Borderless JS conference. We don't have any limitations. We don't have any borders. So right now we're switching from the business aspects to some AI aspects of the development. And we're jumping from another location to another location. And now we have our next speaker from London. So Konstantin will give you a quick and detailed overview about the practical LangGraph JS. So get ready to see all the best practices in the development, the Gen AI application with the LangGraph. Over to you.
Awesome. Thank you, Pavel. Thank you for introduction. So actually today we're going to be a bit of a crazy talk. Initially it was supposed to be talking about practical LangChain actually, but in the process of preparing the talk I actually realized to change it, and I'm going to talk about it in just a second. But first let's start with who am I, and basically I'm a Konstantin Perikov. I goes by Kos. I'm a principal software engineer at EPAM, working for just a bit over 7 years now. And as a main work activity, apart from engineering, I'm leading a search competency center of excellence, where we're doing a variety of different search-related information retrieval, natural language LLM type of projects. And we're doing Gen AI and rather large language models before it was cool and hype in 2022. So, for example, in 2019, we were doing some of the chatbots for one of our actual internal EPAM conference, having the ability to answer questions. And this is some links on my social medias and GitHub. To be honest, most interested to me is if you could subscribe to me, follow me on the GitHub. It would be super awesome, actually. But yeah, let's dive deep into what's this talk supposed to be initially and why I changed it, and let's dive deep into this one. Basically, I originally was supposed to be talking about a LangChain JavaScript version of it, and just to be full disclosure, I'm not in any capacity would call myself a JavaScript expert, but I really wanted to talk to you about some of these amazing and very breakthrough type of frameworks, libraries such as LangChain. And LangChain consists of a lot of different tools like, LangChain Core, Community, and et cetera, et cetera. But basically, as I was preparing the content, as I was writing like the POC that I was using LangChain for, I more and more start looking into agentic approaches lately, right? So this is where I decided to actually change it to the LangGraph JS. So I was actually doing some very stupid, very naive type of thing when I replaced the chain with the word graph. And this is how I got this very nice marketing promotion. So today we're going to be actually looking into LangGraph, and I hope you're going to like. If you were here to listen about LangChain, so sorry about that. But if you were, I hope you will be liking actually LangGraph part of it as much as I would do as well. So let's start with some very baseline type of examples why we might need to have some specific large language based applications. And I wouldn't go into RAG, to be honest, today, or any other advanced approach like hybrid search approaches, maybe content generations, using large language models as critiques and everything. So I think I'm focusing on more or less straightforward software type of development projects. And in this case, the one would be super simple. So let's write maybe an application that would go and get some pricing, for example, for some stocks symbol. Let's say let's check the EPAM price for the stock, for example, and let's say ask large language models to make any sorts of conscious decision around that. For example, should we invest? Maybe should we not invest? Should we sell? Should we buy? And of course, in reality, it's much more different, as you could imagine. But let's have this as an assumption that we just want to create a naive financial trader type of application based on large language models, right? And in order to do that, we could have a different components out of it, right? So if I would go very quickly to my WebStorm in this case, I've created actual repos on the GitHub, and I will share the links later, which you could take a look after the call, after the session. But basically, this is the simplest one, right? So we got some specific libraries. We set up the OpenAI library, coming to do the request to the OpenAI. We got some Axios to do the HTTP request in this case. And very simply, we're just doing and go into this Alpha Vantage service, which allows us to get some trading, some stock price for specific stock symbol. All right. And yeah, we just do some simple parsing here and return it as a result. Right. So then the next step would be, let's ask OpenAI, for example, about some specific model. In this case, we're using Omnius Mini model, which is kind of powerful but relatively cheap. And once again, we not get bothered right now for the sake of this exercise into what are the actual prompt, what kind of system prompt should look like. This is nowhere anywhere close to the actual good prompts in any capacity. But I think it would work just fine as an illustration. And we're just asking, what does stock price, mean for this specific stock symbol? Is it good? Is it bad? And after all, we just combine it all together in some async promise variation where, for example, we select the stock symbol, let it make EPAM, we get the stock price, we get the AI response, and we just open it out, right? I'll output it as a result. And sorry if you see some of my code part. But anyway, and like I'm not gonna even run it, to be honest, because it's super straightforward. You're gonna get some response from OpenAI, and that's it, right? So nothing really you could do. So this is our baseline examples, and what's this approach have in common, right? So we have a specific call to the remote API, in this case HTTP-based remote API, right? So sometimes it could be called a tool in a LangChain and overall in the Gen AI type of space. And then I think most importantly, we ask and do once again, it's in its nature, it's HTTP call where we do the call to the OpenAI to get the stock symbol, to get the price, to get some analysis out of it, and we return it as a response, right? But then I think, and so far I think it's once again super straightforward. I'm pretty much sure a lot of you were playing and even maybe delivering real projects, POCs, demos to our clients. If you looking at us externally outside of EPAM as well, you could do it maybe for your clients, for your projects, for your development. Absolutely, this is very basic. Once again, I'm not even discussing it deeply. But then I think very important is this, type of comment. We get this response, right? We got this response from AI, which would be something, right? And what if we want to do something based on this LLM response, right? What if we want to actually maybe start trading, selling, notifying somebody? Right? And to be honest, this is often a lot of people use as a motivation for agentic. And to be honest, I'm a bit skeptical, right? If this is enough to actually be motivation for agents actually, because there is a very simple thing as a concept in the LangChain, and it exists across JavaScript version, Python version, wrapper, and every other wrappers basically. And yeah, chain is basically a solitary model, where we could, just not just do the calls to the LM itself. It was a second step, but we also could do the step number 1, for example, right? We could do the pre LLM call in this case, right? So we could maybe tool calls in this case, right? So tooling is exactly something which is outside, and HTTP is definitely a good example of tool call, right? So this is the step 1. Then we call an LLM, and then let's say step N, we're making some sort of decision. And in this case, this control flow to some extent just forms into a chain. Hence the framework is called LangChain, right? It's like a language chain. And don't get me wrong, like this these control flows, these chains are very much reliable, right? Like they would have a same control flow over time. There is a predefined steps, they go one after another, and that's fine, right? Probably we don't need even agents here. We could, for example, take a look into this LangChain example, right? So if you would go just slightly updated, right? So previously it was purely using Axios and OpenAI library to do the calls to the OpenAI, right? But then if you go to the LangChain, like if you go one step further, one step deeper, we still have exactly the same stock price tool call, right? It didn't change at all. So model here, it's a bit defined now differently, right? So we're using the nice abstraction from the LangChain OpenAI, where basically we could import it, we could create actual model, we could specify what kind of API keys we're using, what kind of model we want to call. And now the prompt would go from the previous JSON example into actually chat prompt template. Once again, some nice abstractions coming from LangChain in this case. And we actually could create this chain, right? So which would be super straightforward. Once again, prompt, pipe to the model, pipe to string output parser, right? And here it's almost exactly the same. The result would be almost identical, I would say. We're going to get the stock price, we're going to invoke the chain, and we're going to do something with it once again. So one of the straightforward version, and I see it when the ChatGPT hype start appearing in 2022, we start doing a lot of different projects. And we start doing how we're going to parse this response, right? So one of the naive, of course, and very simplistic implementation would be, hey, let's select if there is a word maybe positive outlook, maybe other type of thing. So we could execute some code for specific positive outlook, for example, or for negative outlook. And of course, as you could imagine, there is a lot of challenges with this approach, right? You never know if the words positive actually will be there. Will it be written exactly like this? Maybe we're going to use the synonyms, different meaning, etc., etc., etc. So it all creates a bit of a challenge, but we still want to have this decision type of making. All right, and yeah, this is just an example of the code that we already do this, right? And the next step would be, hey, let's do something with this response, right? Like maybe we could get response in some specific form. Once again, pretty much simple simple idea, very popular idea, where we would say, maybe I want to have some sort of a router type of activity. So maybe based on this chain, once again, at some point, large language model will make, let's say, a decision if you want to go to step 2 or step 3. So this is a bit of start getting a little bit agentic, right? So LLM kind of maybe making decision. But in our case, in our very simplistic case, we could even replace this LLM making decision with just if else type of thing, right? So we could just maybe look for specific part of the response and make this routing decision without any technically LLM, right? It's just enough to have the actual response of the analysis from LLM. And then yes, definitely we could do this as well. So we add in a little bit more abstraction. I think one of the important ones is actually structured output parser, right? So we're going to see how to use it a bit later. So we get in the stock price the same. We get in the model. I think funny part that we did the zero in the temperature here, just not to be too creative in the response. And we're using this nice Zod library, which is quite popular. I think in the JavaScript domain. Let me know what you think about it. Once again, I'm not an expert. I just saw somebody using it in LangGraph and LangChain ecosystem, and basically we're explaining what would be the schema of the response, right? We want to have a response with some specific a positive, negative, neutral type of thing, and some specific recommendation, right? So it would be some specific recommendation based on this analysis. Our prompt is getting a bit more complex, but overall it stays the same. And once again, we're using this structured output parser from this one. So how it looks like, how the main flow looks like right now. So we still stay with this stock symbol, we still getting the price. We getting the response now out of the chain, right? So we're now getting actual response, which would have a format instruction. And yes, we could log answer, outlook, recommendation. And now this is actually much easier, right? We don't do any regular expression parsing type of thing. We're not doing guessing, like the synonyms or all the words which would imply the positive trend versus the negative trend. We just ask basically ChatGPT, LLMs in this case more broadly, to output us some structured response, right? So something which would be parsed as a JSON and would have some fields, some objects with some fields specifically, which values we could compare. And now it's much easier to some extent because we could do this type of routing thing. When we select the field, we select the value, and we're executing some code, for example, for positive or negative outlook, or maybe even for neutral if it's not mentioned. And to be honest, this is quite well working approach overall, you could say, right? It's working in most of the cases. However, I think the challenge here is, and everybody who's actually spent a bit of time with the large language models trying to answer in a structured output format, in a JSON format, have this. So, like you run this, it's working great, but then once out of 100, once out of 1,000, you get some specific hallucinated, you could even say, type of response, right? So response when JSON wouldn't be valid, or it's going to fail, or it's not going to be using positive or negative. It's going to just write something very similar, but not exactly the same, right? And it goes on and on. And this is actually where I'm feeling more and more motivation for the agentic, right? Because chains in this case are once again great tools, definitely could be used. But for example, we see that there is no dynamic decision making, right? This is very important motivation for this. Sorry, just go to my slides. So like there is no dynamic decision making here, right? So it's once again if else, pretty much structured into the code. LLM actually in this case not making decision, is us who make the decision, maybe based on some response from LLM, right? So it's once again, it's giving us an output based on some specific prompt. We get it and we decided that this is a kind of decision type of thing, right? So there is not much of the feedback loop, right? For example, so if we want maybe to invest something here, and maybe we want to invest a specific type of evaluation through the through the actual human in the loop, for example, it would be very challenging to put it into this chain, right? Or how we could make sure that there is like some specific human validation, right? So there is no ability for LLM to receive this type of feedback, right, and maybe refine its response, maybe rerun it once again, maybe rerun the analysis of the stock price. Of course, similarly, there is no self-correction. Once again, LLM could not correct itself if it produces an unexpected output once again, right? So all these challenges and many more, of course, this is, I think, where the motivation for agentic approach is actually start making more and more sense. And today we're going to be actually looking into some of the foundations and some of the examples of LangGraph. And LangGraph in this case is a library for building stateful multi-actor applications with large language models, right? It's used to create not just one but multi-agent workloads, how they're going to communicate with each other. So in order to compare it with a lot of other LLM frameworks, specifically LangChain, for example, this offers some additional core benefits, right? It could have some cycles. It could have some controllability. It could have persistent as a type of memory, even though I know memory exists in LangChain as well. This is one of the things that LangGraph is adding. And it's to some extent, when working with this and writing the code for the LangGraph, I actually realized that it's kind of low-level framework. It actually gives us a little bit of more control over the state of the flow of your application. You could define the graph of how communicating and kind of communication between the graphs could work. Yeah, so this is it. And what are some other features, I think, just to make it clear? So yes, it's have integrations overall, like this LangGraph, LangChain, LangSmith, right? It's all goes into this one ecosystem which we have. And actually, let me go back quickly to the appendix. Yeah, so technically this is the whole ecosystem of Lang something, I don't know, Lang framework you could call, right? So because we have like LangChain and LangGraph, which is open source components, we have different integrations, which once again are open source. But then we have LangGraph Cloud, so ability to deploy these agentic systems into the cloud, as well as LangSmith, which is providing nice debugging, playground, prompt annotation testing, etc., etc. So it's a variety of the different components that we have. So, and conscious of time a bit, let's dive and see how we could make this agents example even more complex, because I think for now we're just having maybe not enough. We have not enough agents to interact with each other, right? Because we have rather like a tool calling, but instead let's replace this with actual agents behavior in this case. And I'm gonna just jump into the code again. So now the code is actually much more code you could see. We installed the LangGraph. Once again, the README contains more or less the basic way how you could install. So LangChain, LangGraph, LangChain core, and some of this one is actually API keys that I'm going to be using, but not for OpenAI. So you could take them if you want. And basically, what we're doing here, we're getting the keys again. How the LangGraph approach is different from the LangChain. So here we need to define the agent state, right? So we have what would be used as a part of the state for the engine. So it's a messages, right? Because we're still building some sort of a chatbot. We build in the memory where we could store, for example, in this case, the previous prices. So the previous price on the previous run. So we could include it into analysis, and we could have understanding what's the next point in our agent state it is. And here, instead of getting the function for getting the price, we a little bit change it. So now it's actually called the dynamic structure tool. So it's have a specific name, right? So it's have a description, what it's getting out of it. But internally, the implementation is very much close to the previous one, right? So we get in the API keys, we go to this AlphaVantage API, we're using the Axios respond, boom, 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 we get the stock price. Perfect. After that, we also want to define what type of engines we have. And in this case, we have only 3 agents. So it's a data fetcher. So some agents which are going to use this stock price tool. The analyst, which is going to be doing the call to the OpenAI in our case and making a decision of like what should be done. And we have a reporter who is making some sort of kind of report based on the pricing. So it's a bit of a premature agent, I think, but just for complexity, I've added it. And we have a supervisor actually. So in this case, we're already talking about variety of agents talking to each other. We, for example, have a specific routing tool which supervisor is actually making. So basically, every time we go to the supervisor actually making a decision. So who should act next? Like who is the next role, the next agent that should be working? Formatted out prompt, I will just skip it. Here we just define the OpenAI model again, and this is the supervision chain that we define. Yes, so for the supervisor agent in this case. So you're saying that LLM, binding the tool, it's going to the routing tool, which once again making a decision who will be the next, what will be the next role. We just output it as a JSON. The node itself is very much just a definition and a lot of different boilerplate code. For the data fetcher agent, we actually once again define the LLM. We define the tool. In this case, it's a different tool. It's a stock price tool now, right? So we see it's a different, and we have some system message once again. Pretty much, very much a simple system message data fetcher type of thing. And this is analyst agent. So analyst agent once again doesn't have any tools in this case, right? Because it's not going to be doing anything. It's just analyzing the stock symbol, the stock price, and making some recommendation. And we get in just some response where we invoke it with some specific human message as an analyst. Reporter just summarizes, in our case, the analysis, once again, not using any tool. So it's a little bit simple type of agent. So after we defined all of these four agents, actually, we now know what to do next, right? So the next, we actually need to define the state graph, right? In this case, we have 4 nodes, very simple graph where we have data fetcher node, once again, doing the calls and using the tool to do the API call. We have analysis, which doesn't have any tools, but do the LLM call to do the decision. Reporter, who is kind of like summarizing it for the news article paper, for example, and supervisor, which is actually making decisions how they should be run. We start with the supervisor. So supervisor is the first node which is actually starting. So we had this edge from start to supervisor. So supervisor is the first agent that's going to be acting, and it's making a decision who to call. And overall, we just assemble it all together, and stock symbol once again EPAM. And yeah, let's take a look how it's running. Hopefully, it will work. So we're using NPX and TS6 in this case to just run it LangGraph. And yeah, so supervisor making a decision to call the data fetcher next based on it. Data fetcher actual goes to use the tool, and it's got the price of the EPAM stock. In this case, it's 192. Sorry, 192.77. It doesn't have any specific previous price, so there is some output of LLM you could see, right? And then supervisor making a call to the analyst, right? So analyst using this price, using this output from the data fetcher, actually making some sort of prediction, analysis, etc., etc. So it goes into the memory right now. We could see it into the memory, and then supervisor just basically after that makes a reporter to be the next, and reporter make it a little bit once again newspaper. And after that, actual supervisor understands that it's enough work for now, and we should be just ending this whole thing. Once again, I'm terribly sorry, and I know we're running out of time, so I will just show you what's the real more or less real application would look like, with the cycles and memories and making a decision. And actually how it's happening, we updated the pricing with some getting previous close data. We still have the supervisor who is making a decision, still using the route. However, supervisor additionally adds this specific behavior, that if the state of memory of the Outlook is neutral, and the next person to do the activity is actually investor agent. So now we have much more agents. We also have investor agent, which would be able to buy or sell stocks, for example. But if you see the neutral Outlook, we understand that investor shouldn't be really doing anything, and it should go to the waiter agent, which will just wait until you would be able to behave. And what's going on? My WebStorm is done. What? Crazy. Just really wanted to show the last one before we go. Oh yeah, sorry. I don't know, my WebStorm just frozen. And yeah, so we have also reporter node is the same. So we have now the waiter node, which is actually behaving when we are waiting for evaluation, for example, of the analysis, and waiting for just 1 minute. Of course, it's hard coded, so forgive me about that. But now our workflow is much more difficult, right? We have data fetcher, we have analysis, we have investor, we have reporter, we have supervisor, and we have waiter. But overall, it stays the same. And let's just make it run. And this would be the wrap, I think, for this one. So once again, supervisor deciding to call the analyst now. Imagine, you see that this is different a bit. So supervisor not call the data fetcher, but call the analysis instead. And analysis provide the response like this. It seems that the stock price are not provided, right? Because we didn't get it when we started, right? So, and basically analyst saying, hey, I couldn't perform the analysis without getting the price. So I'm out of it. So supervisor, based on this response, actually realize that we don't have a data of the stock symbol. So we need to go to the data fetcher. We need to go to the actually getting the stock symbol, right? So data fetcher goes there, and it's actually getting the content, right? It's getting the latest price, the previous price. So now supervisor is understanding this. Like, okay, I see in my memory I actually have the stock price. I could go to the analyst now. Analyst provides their recommendation, agentic recommendation, and Outlook in this case is neutral. And you could see that neutral Outlook received, so redirecting to waiter to wait until the next call would be done. And we could see this is 60 seconds counting down to the 1. And now we call in to the waiter again, and probably going to wait a bit more. This is actually funny because supervisor at some point might think, hey, I want to do waiter a bit more and not call the data fetcher as well, because once again, they could think that 1 minute is not enough. And I'm afraid this is it. I'm already running out of time. So I hope it was as much fun for you as it was for me. And this is examples of the code that we looked into the actual. And yes, I will just leave it here. So if you want to take a look into actual examples, once again, pretty much fresh POC using LangGraph, but I think it was pretty cool. Ability to interact between the agents showcased both complexity of this approach and sustainability to like support complex scenarios. For example, yesterday when I was like doing some crazy final adjustments, one of my API keys for Alpha Vantage wasn't working properly, and agents was actually like detecting this quite nicely and didn't like retry all the time. Instead, they understand that something happening with this data pricing tool. So instead, they were like trying to skip it or wait for a bit more, and which I think was pretty funny. So once again, this QR code is leading to my GitHub repo. If you have any questions, I'm afraid I wouldn't be able to answer them right now on the session. Please post them into the chat. We're gonna have them on the VR community, and I would be happy to actually answer all of it after this session. So thank you very much, and yeah, that's it for now.
Yeah, thank you, Konstantin, for your talk. Really, really fun talk. A lot of details, a lot of examples, and thank you for posting the link as well so we can explore it. Yeah, good stuff that you've mentioned that you are happy to answer all the questions later on. Nevertheless, just a quick one, right? So what if we really have sort of like conflicting and incomplete data, right? So what strategies can developers use to ensure reliable outcomes in such situations?
So retrying is one of the differently one of the options, right? So like if you're going to use it multiple times, there is a chance that it's going to work. Making the temperature 0, I think, worked for some of the people to make it less creative and more stuck, more grounded to some extent. But overall, to be honest, my answer would be like, if you have not such a great data, you need to fix first your data. This is to be honest super critical. Amount of projects, activities that you have when you have like a garbage in and type of garbage out situation, it's enormous, and no LLM, I think, at least maybe in this generation, would be able to solve this without actually fixing this data. So LLM actually could be quite helpful in data quality detection, in data quality issues detection, maybe even fixing it specifically. But you need to do this before you go into more specific RAG pipelines, maybe search pipelines or any other analysis pipeline.
Yeah, makes sense. Makes sense. Thank you very much, Konstantin. Again, guys, if you do have any questions, just drop them into the comments section. And yeah, feel free to enjoy other talks as well. Thank you and bye.
Thank you. Thank you. Bye.
So, guys, we are halfway through. So we do have 2 talks, right? Just to watch. We had 2 talks previously, and we had a quiz, right? So pretty much in a couple of hours we'll be done. So our next talk will be about chatbots. So in this case, I'm super happy to welcome our FromSpot Poland community and Artyom here to the stage. So he will basically tell you a bit more about chatbots, how you can make your applications more interactive, more fun, and in general, how you can push your development to the next level with these chatbots. So Artyom, back to you.
Yep, thank you, Pavel. I will start. Okay. So I'll share the screen. Okay, just let me know, do you see my screen?
All good.
Okay, thank you very much. So, as already said, we will talk today about the chatbots and how to use them. First of all, let me introduce myself. My name is Artyom. I'm working pretty long in IT, work with a lot of things like React, Angular, Node.js, and so on. I'm a resource manager, participate in FromSpot in UE, and have a pretty good background with a lot of technologies and a lot of things. First, let's start about the chatbot. So what are the benefits they can bring? So first of all, probably all of you have some experience in online shopping or in some support with banking, and it's very good when you can have the help with the chat. So you just write everything that you want, share every number, and actually, as per my perspective, I usually expect that this chat will answer me very fast, that I don't need to wait for several minutes until live agent will connect to me and do something. And according to a lot of researchers, we see that people usually really don't read the documentation because, of course, they don't want to do this. And you as a developer also faced with these problems when you need to read something, understand, and then you understand that this was the problem, yeah, because you didn't read the documentation. And very good when we have some AI tools that will help this. Mostly, my motivation today is talk about this because, as I already say, I use bots a lot. Yep, on various shopping, on banking. I expect that it will respond me very fast, and I see that not all bots are working pretty well and pretty fast. I want to understand how to do this better, how to make this bot that will work with the best performance and will respond me in correct way, because we see that not always bots respond to you in a good manner. I mean that they usually repeat you something like reboot your computer and then everything will work. So this not always working for all of us. What we will talk about. So first of all, what is chatbot? This already we talked about, how to create chatbot. And then see several tools that actually make the all work. This is OpenAI, the assistant, and the Vertex AI from Google. Let's start. So first of all, of course, when we are talking about the chatbot, the first thing that we need to do, this is to create some UI, so making the chatbot itself. Here we don't have a problem. So if you go to NPM and input chatbot, you will see a lot of things, a lot of ready solutions that will help you to do this UI for you. And no need to think a lot and to make something from scratch. Yep. So for example, I found a very interesting tool. Of course, this is with the best UI library React that help you to make this bot and support a lot of features. And of course, you can make the bot by yourself. So for example, give me a second to understand. Yep, you see my screen. This is the overview of the bot. So you'll see it's very simple. You can call it. It already supports a lot of things. So making some graphs, some widgets, so separate window with scrolls and so on. So very useful. You can do something with these. And at the same time, as I say, you can actually do this by your own. No need to make a lot of code. You even don't need any library. So mostly generate this code with OpenAI. I mean, with the chat GPT. So you can just ask, generate the bot for me, and it generates almost all the features for the simple bot. And yeah, when you will work with the bot, do not forget that if you're working with something like the OpenAI or any other library, it's better for you to create some servers that would be some proxy between your front end and back end, and it will store all the configuration in a file, and do not commit these changes yet, because right now you can try to go to to GitHub, try to search some projects with OpenAI and see that a lot of people commit the keys and some of them are working. Don't be the part of the statistics. Okay, let's go next. And the next, when we already create some UI, have some features, yep, so we want to have some something that will do all the logic. Of course, we don't want to train our model, and the best way is to have assistant from OpenAI. This is very interesting feature, and it's work pretty cool. So OpenAI has this playground. You can create a chatbot. The only thing that you need to do is to give the instruction for your bot. So imagine that we are working, so that we want to have, for example, HR bot that will interview some junior developers for us. So we need to give him instructions. Act as HR in IT, ask simple question related to JS if candidate candidate provide you the correct answer. Please share with him the number to call. Otherwise, ask to wait till we call him. Do not share the number until you got the correct answer. You also have this a lot of settings, like the model. So about difference in the models, you can understand this from the description. Yep. But I prefer to look into pricing. Yep. Here the better description what is happening, how big they are, and the most interesting the pricing. Yep. And pricing is actually very good. So if you're using just a GPT-4o, the latest model, about 1 million tokens, and you will pay for these $2.50. And this is quite a lot of words. In general, one token is usually about one word. Usually, sometimes one token for several words. And you can imagine that if usually you have a very small conversation, you can handle a lot of requests with this model. And at the same time, it's provide you a very good GPT-4o mini. It's also very good and much, much cheaper. So for our purpose, we will use mini, the less expensive model. And there is a lot of interesting things that you can set up and then use from your code. For example, functions. You can set up that when the answer would be right, instead of share some, I don't know, link or number, you can share, you can make a request. Yep. And bot will, for example, register this candidate and automatically add it to your external system. Okay, let's try. For example, hello. Wasting the JavaScript. Not the good question for me. Hoisting. I forget that this is how the events are bumbling. Not events in DOM. Am I right? Okay, I'm not a junior developer. And right now, actually, let's imagine that we know that this bot should share some number with us. Then what we will do, we will ask, okay, but my response was correct. Here's a phone number with me. And here you understand that a system is actually very good trained, from scratch. So you don't need to do something like this. You already know that it wouldn't give some information that is not required to give to the user if you in instruction said that it should not be shared. Okay. And if we want to tune this model, we want to add something more, we want to I don't know, make it better, want to make some tunings to respond it faster, to make better responses and more accurate responses. Actually, OpenAI is not good enough because we have some limitations. We have only some instructions that is very limited. And yeah, we also can add something to where to load these answers. But still, if we want to have much bigger information, for example, we want to integrate our AI into our application and want to make the full search across our application, OpenAI is not that tool that will help you here. We will talk about Vertex AI a little bit further because there is also a very good thing that I want to share here. Maybe some of you already saw something like this because when you talk with some bots in that are in public on any sites, you sometimes can ask to generate code and it will generate. So usually this assistant wouldn't do like this, but let's try. How to write function in JS that will find average number in array. Okay, probably I need to change to GPT-4 and repeat this. Anyway, you see, it will generate for you. And I think that you don't want this to happen with your real model and with your real production yet. So we can add here something like do not response on questions not related to HR interview. Yep, but they can be probably a lot of instruction and probably you will have a very big description and instruction overall. Yep, in this case, I suggest to use Vertex AI. So I will switch my presentation. Vertex AI. So actually from this overview that I take from Google documentation, you see that actually it can take a lot of steps, a lot of things, and so on. So by this image, I want to represent that Vertex AI is more than just some assistant or some things that will just help you to generate requests. Generate responses in chat. But you also can use it for chat or using, for example, for some searches inside your application. For these cases, Google developed Vertex AI Studio. So let's try to use it. So here it is. Probably if you work with GCP, you understand this is typical Google UI. It has a lot of things, a lot of stuff. First of all, something like a chat. Yeah, you can create some company chat, edit it the same as assistant from OpenAI. You can have more things like speech. Continue that saying. You can generate some text. Generate the speech itself from the text, from the gallery, store, or use some external things from other teams and so on. And actually, the thing that is that we're looking for, and that will help us a lot. This is the feature that is calling fine tuning. So with this, you can actually make the model and then tune it. So this is more advanced feature, and it helped a lot for you to make your model more accurate and response the real things that you really want from your model and from your chatbot. Also here, I want to talk a little about the pricing. About the pricing. So if go back So OpenAI. Here we actually have very clear model how to calculate because here is based just on tokens and that's all. So nothing at all. Here depends on things that you're using. So for example, you're using something like spec models. Um, 188 tokens. This is really a lot of tokens. And so imagine that you, for example, have, I don't know, for example, 300 tokens a day. You need also input how many characters. So imagine that we have not very big conversation, but something about 500 characters. And output characters, we expect that we also will have very, very big instruction. Yeah. So we calculate and estimate less than a box. This is with the models, multimodal models. Why I choose because this is one of the vertex feature that help you to make a little easier all your models and help to train them with better price, first of all, because in Google Cloud you will pay also not for creating, not only for using. Yep. Also, you need to fine tune your model, and you will pay for tuning it too. Yeah. So, and this multimodal, this is what usually, at least on our project, we use because it's easy to generate and easy to work with it. Okay. Looks like I finished a little earlier than expect, but yep, this is all from my side. Maybe you have any questions to me.
Well, first of all, thank you, Artem, for your talk. We'll definitely have some questions for you at some point, right? Whether right now or later on in the comments, right? Though the only one question that we do have right now is the following. So quite often, right, it doesn't matter how much we train our bots, right? It is easy to spot the answer, whether it is from machine or whether the answer is like from the real human. So what strategies can you recommend to use in order to make these machines answer more like a human answers?
I think that this question is actually very good, but it's my answer would be very similar to the previous speaker. Because on the current level of what we have in open models that we can use. Okay, a little bit in another way. So from what I see with talking with other people, that people think that right now Model AI can steal our job and so on. From what we test on our projects and see in real production, both are not ideals and it just doesn't make a sense to try to say that you're talking with real human. Yeah. Anyway, you need to say that you're talking with bot. That's why people will be more polite. Yep. Try to explain better to bot, first of all. And if you want to make bot to answer better and provide better results, the things that you can really do, this is the test with the people, with real people. And what we do on our project, when we fine tune our model, we then, first of all, make testing with real people with our QA team. and then make testing with real users and collect the feedback from them, then to fine-tune more it. Because especially when you work in production on the big project, on some project that is really big and has a lot of documentation, and for example, on our project, I don't remember exactly, but this is something about 100 support specialists on the customer side, and they are all working all the day. Yeah. So that's why there is a lot of support cases time to time, and very big documentation, and model try to solve this problem, but still model doesn't respond correctly. Yep. And one more thing, yep, you're trying to make your model more safer, not to respond with some unpolite or something not related to the project and to the domains that you have. And that's why sometimes you limit the answer, and actually with these limitations, you cut the right answers that actually should be provided.
Yeah. Okay. I got it. Thank you very much. Thank you for this explanation. Right, guys, do not hesitate to drop all your other questions to the comment section. Feel free to subscribe to our channel. And yeah, Artyom, thank you very much for your talk. Well done. Thank you.
Thank you.
And it seems that we do have only one talk before our quiz game, and this is going to be it for this Borderless JS conference. So, as you can see, time flies very fast. So, the next call is the next talk is called Gemini function calling using Google AI SDK in TypeScript. So, get ready to make sure that you have all the best practices from the world case scenario, right? So how you can actually use all the features of the Gemini, and you can use that to write clear functions with clear parameters definitions, work with the sort of like a structured outputs, and handle all the API calls like a pro. So Borderless JS conference going to another location. Right now we're switching from Poland to Colombia. And now I'm going to pass my mic to Carlos. Carlos, you with us?
Hello. Yeah, I'm here.
Let's go.
Yeah, thanks. Very excited to be here. Thank you. Okay. Hello, everyone. Very excited to share with you today about this topic, Gemini function calling using Google AI SDK, designed for TypeScript. And it was nice that Konstantin talked about this topic briefly in his talk. He was talking about agents, and this is very related. We are going to deep dive here in this talk. Basically, as the name of that. So a little bit about me. My name is Carlos Arboleda, as you can see. I'm a senior software engineer and an AI enthusiast, and I have been working at EPAM for over 2.5 years now. While working at EPAM, I got the GCP developer certification. And early this year, I joined the JavaScript community, JavaScript Colombia community, as a core team member. And I also a GG organizer, this external community, EPAM. Next, let's see a little bit about the content for this presentation. We will have an introduction, and here we will talk about the difference between Gemini app and the Gemini models. Then we will talk about challenges when using LLMs. Then we have a couple of definitions that are important to understand this topic. And later, we will see how to use function calling and also with code examples. Finally, if we have some time left, we will have a Q&A section. So let's go. introduction. And here, I would like to highlight that function calling is one of the key components of agent systems. So because of that, with this example, I would like to illustrate you about the power of the function calling capability of the LLMs. So let's imagine that we bought a couple of shoots and we want to return them. So we can leverage AI assistants to simplify this process. And just by taking a picture of the shoots and sending a brief message, we can say, okay, I want to return these shoes because they are too small. And automatically the agent is going to locate the order number in your email. Then it's going to fill out the return form for you. And finally, it is going to schedule the pickup. So let's see. This is wonderful, isn't it? Of course, at this point, we still need to supervise everything that the agents do, or basically the AI is doing. But this example, I think, is pretty nice. And of course, here we are to discuss and to understand how this works under the hood. Then let's go with some definitions also. Let's understand what is Gemini. Probably most of you already know it. But Gemini is a multimodal generative model, and it is important to highlight that this is a multimodal model from the beginning. So it was created with this purpose, and it is for Google AI, and it's trained as most of the models in a massive data set of text and code, and it can generate text, translate languages, also write a different kind of creative content and generate images, also understand images and give up summarization of the content of the image and videos also. And of course, Gemini is still under development. It is in a continued improving cycle. So we continually see different versions of this model and different improvements. Then about the differences between the Gemini app and the models, and I want to clarify this because of the name. It could be a little bit confusing. And is that the Gemini app is an application, of course, and it is focused or created for non-technical users. And this application is like it's a way to use the models, but it already has many other functionalities that are on top of the model. Like, for example, you can integrate it with your Gmail account or with your Drive account. You can ask information or responses about your documents, the documents that you have on Google Drive, and also about the emails that you have received. And of course, this work with many others of the Google applications. And on the right side, we have the Google AI Studio. And this is an application. It's like an IDE, similar to the OpenAI Playground. And it allows us to try different models. You can see here we have a drop-down list that allows us to select the model that we want to try it. And then this is more focused for developers. We can play a little bit here with the models, and also it has an option to get the code, to generate the code for the configuration, including the configuration that we have defined here, the system prompt if we have defined one, and other stuff. And why it is important to understand that difference. Let me show you why. Basically, if we ask the Gemini app, the Gemini application, a question about that implies to know real-time information, like, for example, in this case, we want to know what is the exchange rate between USD and COP today, the Gemini app is going to be able to respond to this this prompt, because it is an application and it already have a function calling implementation in it. It should be something, of course, more similar to a agent assistant, agent system, sorry. But if we have the same question to the Gemini model, it could be using Google AI Studio or using any other application. It could be Olama, you can run it locally. The answer will be really different. It will say that it doesn't have information or access to real-time information, including the currency rates that we are asking for. And it is going to advise us to go to an application that already can provide us with this information. Then we will face some challenges when building real-world applications with Gen AI. And we can see accessing to real-time information is one of them. But here we're going to discuss two other more. First, the inconsistent output. Even with good prompting techniques, it is kind of difficult to get consistent outputs when we ask the LLM to produce it. Then they are frozen in time. It means that they may lack of some information if we ask for information that has occurred after the cutoff of the training data. The LLM is not going to provide us with accurate responses. And the third one is that they are disconnected from the world. So basically, LLMs have no inherent way to interact with the world, and it is limited to take an action on behalf of the user. Like, for example, using an API similar to applications that we use today. But we can tackle these limitations with function calling. And the first is that function calling already provides out-of-the-box consistent outputs. So it provides ready-to-use structured output in different formats. We can use them in JSON, XML, or use plain text. And this allows us to integrate with downstream or underlying systems. Then about access like data, now we have by using function calling, we can access real-time information and by using the function responses that are structured in a structured format. So we can integrate with APIs or everything that we need. And we also can complete transactions. The LLM can complete transactions. So now we have the ability to take action on behalf of the user through interfaces like APIs, and we can do this after receiving the function call wherever the task can be executed. Then let's see the definitions, some definitions about function calling and how it works. And I hope this is not so confusing for you, but the definition is basically that it is a technique that allows the LLMs to interface with external systems and tools. The LLMs are fine-tuned to detect when a function needs to be called, and then output a JSON containing arguments to call the function. This can be a little bit tricky, but basically this is a powerful technique that allows us as developers to create descriptions of functions in our code and then pass these descriptions to the language model in the request. So then it can do its magic. But there is something that at first it was overwhelming for me, and is that the LLM function calling don't actually call your function. So the LLM doesn't have the capability to directly call your function. but you have to do it manually. This kind of depends on the SDK. If we, for example, use the Python SDK, it automatically calls the function for you. But in JavaScript, you still need to call it manually. Then, as we said, as I said before, it provides an structured framework for consistent JSON responses. And this provides us with the ability to call external tools and APIs. We will see some example some example later. Then let's see a life cycle of a Gemini function call. Basically, everything starts with the user sending a prompt to our application. And then in our application, we will create an instance of the model that we want to use and send the prompt from the user together with the function declaration. We're going to see function declaration later. And then when we send this information to the model, it is capable to identify if it requires a function to respond to the user prompt. When the function is identified, it is going to respond with the function name and the arguments that can be extracted from the user prompt or even from the model information, from the model knowledge. Then in our application, we are going to invoke the function with the function name that we already have, the model already provided to us, and the arguments, and then send the response back to the model. At that point, the model will be able to generate a natural language summary using the response from the function, and then send plain text response that we can send directly to the user. And something I want to highlight here is that this is a multi-turn communication flow, conversation flow, because if we see here, we are making two calls to the model. Basically, the first one is when we send the prompt and the function, and the second one is when we send the function name in the response. And because of this is binatural multi-turn conversation flow. Then let's talk about another nice feature that we can take advantage when using function calling, and it is the parallel function calling. This basically is that means that the model will identify if it requires to call one or more functions, and in case it requires to call more functions, and these functions are not depending one of another, the model can send all the function calls to the application. We can execute all the functions and then send all the responses to the model. And this dramatically improves the performance, and it's a code saving approach. But let's see what would happen if we wouldn't have this parallelism. Basically, what would happen is that the model will need to call one function at a time, and we will need to respond to send the response of the function, and then it is going to call the second function, and so on. And of course, this is more time consuming, and also will increase the cost because we are calling more times the model. Then briefly, let's see where are the models supporting function calling. Basically, function calling is supported by the Gemini 1.5 version models. It means Flash and Pro, but it is not available in the Gemini 1.0 Pro, any of the versions. Here we can see also the ones that support parallel function calling. And also there is another feature that is force function calling. That basically means that you can force the LLM to always call the functions and instead of relying on information that the model may have. Then let's see how to use function calling in code. But before, let me ask you something. What do you think would be the answer if we ask the model, not the app, not the application, but the model, directly to the model, what is the time in my location, for example, in Cali, Colombia? Let's think about it for some seconds. And as you may know, of course, the answer would be that the model it is not capable to respond to this question because it doesn't have real-time information, including current time. But let's see how we can tackle this limitation. Let's see some examples. This time to code. Basically, here we are going to define a function to get the current time in our JavaScript file. This function has in its definition an object containing a property called timestamp that will help us to properly return the time for the user. And here in this line here in this part that is highlighted, this is basically a helper to simplify the way that we can invoke our function when we receive the name from the model. Then we have to declare our functions. This means that we need to create a declaration using this specific format. This basically follows the OpenAI specification. And here we can define the name of our function, the same name that we have in our code, then a meaningful description of what the function does. And we can also define the properties, the parameters that we have for that function. It is usually an object, just for simplicity. And inside that object, we can define all the properties that we need. In this case, it is only the timestamp. This is we can define the type. In this case, it's a string. And then we have to define a description, meaningful description. In this case, I'm including an example of the format that I want to receive the timestamp. And finally, here we can define whether the property is required or not. Then, when we have that part, we also need to create an instance of our model. And pay attention to this part here. It is important. We have to include the tools that in the model creation. These tools refers to the function declarations, not the function itself, but the function declaration. Then we also need to send the prompt from the user, and with this we can call the model to generate some content. Once we call the model, we will receive a response, and in this particular case, the response is going to be a function call. So we will receive something similar to this, and this basically includes the name of the function that we have to call and the arguments. And let's see in the arguments, the model already knows that we have this timestamp parameter, and also we can see here that it's using the format that we ask it for to use. Then with this function call, we have to get, and remember the utility that I mentioned before, this function mapping here. We can use the name that we received the function call to get the function, and once we have the function, we can invoke it and send and pass the arguments, and then use that response as the content that we are going to send later. Finally, we have to send a new request, and this is the second turn. for the API for the model. And here we are sending the original prompt for the user, the content that basically refers to the function call, and finally the function response. And we send the response back to the model. After that, we are going to receive not a new function call in this case, but just plain text saying to the current time in the location requested for the user. Then let's see a little bit about data structures and schemas. Here is how we can declare different schemas, and we see that we have different formats here. The first one is the single or multiple parameters. This is the way that the one that we use in the sample before. We have in this case, we have a property that is the destination is a type string, and here we have a description that's destination. Then we can also have a list of parameters. This means that we can receive an array in our properties. This time we have the locations. This is type array, and we also define a description for this property here. Then inside this location property, we can map the different properties that each item contains. In this case, we can see that since this is a list of locations, each of the locations components is going to have the city and the country. And both properties are required. Finally, we have nested parameters and data structures that are basically a mix of the two previous ones. Here we can start with an array. We can switch to an object that is basically the definition of the properties for each of the items inside this array. But additionally, we have a polygon property. And this property is, again, an array. So we can define the properties here. We can nest it as many as we need to define the function arguments. And this is an example of the function call that we are going to receive if we define each of those types of structures. And the first one is a simple one, just the destination with the value. For the list of parameters, we have an array. In this case, we have two different cities. And for the last one, nested parameters and data structures, we have an array again, but let's see that each of the items of the locations in the array have another array that is the polygon containing the latitude and longitude of each location. Now let's see some examples. I'm going to switch to my Visual Studio Code, and here I want to show you. This is a repository that you can access by this QR code here. Here you can find different examples about function calling in TypeScript, and we are going to review some of them here in the presentation. Okay, first we have this intro example here that is basically the one that we already reviewed in the presentation. We also have an example of using data structures. You can go through them at your own pace. But something that I want to show you here within the presentation is this example that is basically a SQL Talk application that allow us to talk to our data. Basically, let's imagine that we have a database and we want to connect an LLM to the data and to execute queries in real time. So we can do this by using function calling. And here I'm going to show you. For this example, I'm using basically SQLite, just to simplify everything here. And then we have this script that creates the different tables and structures that we are going to have in our database. Here you can see we will going to have a student table. Then we also have a course table with the title, content, structure, and duration of that course. Then we have the student course that basically have the enrollment of each student in the different courses that we have. And finally, we have a table for the notes of each student course, for each student and the different enrollments to courses that it has. Then let's see about this another file here that is containing the data. It's basically inserts some rows in the different tables. And here we have 3 different students, Alicia, Bob, and Kathy. And we also have 3 different courses, one for Introduction to Computer Science, another for Advanced Mathematics, and another one for English Literature. Then we have the enrollments here. And just to make it a little bit easy, I have generated these descriptions here using Copilot that basically say that Alice is enrolled to the Introduction to Computer Science and also to Advanced Mathematics. Bob Johnson is enrolled to Advanced Mathematics, and Kathy is enrolled to Introduction to Computer Science and English Literature. And finally, we have the notes for each of the students. Alice has a note of 4.5 for computer science, and so on. So we are going to see this data when we execute the application. Then let's focus in the interesting part of this example. First, we have the definitions for the different functions that we can use as tools for, and the model can use during the function calling invocation. We have the get tables that is basically going to get the different table names that we have in our database. Then we have a count rows function that basically counts the rows that we have in a determined table. We also have the get table schema. This is a pretty important part. This basically provides the model with the required information to build queries to our different tables. Here we only have an argument, a property that is the table name. And with this, we are going to retrieve the data structure for that table. And the response for all these functions here are pretty much JSON format. So here we are sending the name of the table, the name of each of the columns, the type, either whether the column is in the label or not, the default value, and if it is a primary key. This is important for the model to identify what is the column that it needs to use in order to join tables. And at the end of this get table schema, we are sending also the rows, the number of rows in that table. And finally, we have the execute query function. This basically will allow the model to execute queries in our database once it has the required information to build the query. Now, let's go with the declaration part. So we have here the declaration for the tables function. We also have the declaration for the table schema. We see that we are here providing insightful information for the model, including information about what the function responds. And also we are saying here something pretty important to increase the accuracy of the model. We are saying that always use the names coming from the tables tool instead of just trying to come up with names by himself. Then we have the table name property, and something similar for the execute query function. And here we also have a main full description. So we are basically explaining the model how it has to or what is the query format that this function expects. This should be a query that works on SQLite, and we are also saying the way that it should define the table names, basically including the data set if needed. And here we have the part, the qualified name, and the query has to be in a single line. With this, we rid off of we can get rid of parsing the query and before sending it to the database. Then we have the instance of the GenAI model. Then we have the functions, the different functions. This is again utility that we can use to map the different functions. And this is the tools is actually the different declarations that we have for each of the functions. Finally, this is probably one of the most important parts here. We also need to provide a meaningful system instruction. This is basically our system prompt. And we are here explaining, giving some instructions to the model about the information that it can use, something that we want it to refrain and is making up information, just basically getting information that it is not coming from the database itself, and so on. So here we also are defining the output format for the different responses. We ask it to use Markdown tables and also to include a summary of the information. Then, when we create a model, we are providing here the tools. And then we have this handle prompt function that is basically going to handle each of the function calls that we receive. We also have this important part here. Basically, we are using the chat option when interacting with the model, so we can use different. We can have a track of the different prompts that the user has sent, and also we can store the information, the responses that we have sent to the model for each of the function calls. And this is important because this allows us to improve basically the performance of our implementation. This acts as a catch for the iterations. I'm going to present it in a bit. Here we have to we are sending basically the prompt to the model. Then we are receiving here the result, and we are identifying here if we have any function call. This is in a cycle, in a loop here, and As soon as we don't have function calls, we can break this loop and then send the final response to the user. But if we have function calls here, we need to add that function call to the history and then execute each of the functions sent by the model. And here we are also considering that the model calls multiple functions using parallel function calling. This is basically it. So let me execute this. This a little bit here. I have some product examples here. For example, let's ask the model to get a list of the different students that we have in our database. And let's go through the different logs that we have here. Once I send the prompt, the next thing that is going to happen is that the model is going to respond with a function call. The first function call will be get tables. And this is the response to that function call. Basically, we are sending the name of the different tables that we have in our database. Then we have another function call that is to get the table schema for the student table. And here you can see we are sending the rows and each of the columns in that table. Finally, the model now understanding what is the structure of the table can create a query and we send the response to that query here in JSON format. And at the end, we have the final response as we ask the model a summary of the response. In this case, say the database contains about 3 students, and these are the students in a markdown table. We can execute some more complex queries, like for example, asking to, but let me show you something before. If I execute the same query again, since the model already knows the table schema, it is not going to request or to call the get table schema function again. Instead, it is just going to execute the query, and this is okay because the data can be maybe changed from the last time. Then there's execute this other prompt here, and here we see that we have more calls. We have a new get table schema function invocation for the course table, and another one for the student course. And finally, we have this execute query here. This is the way the model created the query. This is the response, and this is the response for the function for the execute query function. And finally, we have here the response that we can send to the user. Let's execute one more. Here we can see this was to a query to get the average note for the students in the advanced mathematics course. It just was missing the notes table. So we have a invocation for the get schema for the table, and then we have the invocation for the query, and finally we have the response here. Okay, let's get back to the presentation. Finally, I would like to give you some more information that you can get in order to learn more about function calling. Basically, one is the repository that I already shared with you. We also have some Google Code Labs implementing Gemini function calling, and of course the Google Cloud Platform function calling in Gemini repository, containing a lot of examples, but they are in Python. Yeah, that's basically pretty much I wanted to share with you today. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Carlos, for this amazing presentation of yours. And actually, with your last slide, you answered one question that we had about materials, about the code base examples and other things. So thank you for that as well. But nevertheless, guys, if you still have some questions later on, or if you rewatch the recording later on, Carlos will be happy to answer your question. Is it right?
Yeah, of course. Yes, get in
Okay,
touch with
okay.
me. I can answer.
Okie dokie. That's cool. All right. Thank you then, Carlos, for your presentation. So it was great to talk, and it was great last talk, last but not least talk of this conference. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Bye bye.
And I was muted. Okay, enough of the talks. Okay, let's make this Friday Happy Friday. Okay, so how about we play some games? And by games, I mean quiz. So I'm taking the mic from Carlos from Colombia, flying over to the ocean to Kyrgyzstan, Bishkek, where Danyar will drive his quiz. And in this quiz, we'll try to find the answer. Who is best at coding, AI or developers? So, Danyar, please go ahead.
Thank you so much, Pavel. Let's start, guys. So I will share my screen. Wait, give me a sec. Mhm. I, wait, give me a sec, and I will do like this. Oh, great. So, guys, I give you a little bit context of this quiz. Thank you so much for joining this quiz. This quiz called You Don't Know JS quiz. So, developer against AI. This was made it by the FrontSpot Asia. I'm community driver of FrontSpot Asia. And today, let's face with AI about knowledge of JavaScript. As you know, JavaScript is full of quirks and often surprise the developer unexpected behavior. Even the ChatGPT not always can catch an oddities that this can happen. So our quizzes challenge JavaScript developer and AI to see who know better the language and test you against the machine to compare your result to determine who comes on the top. So let's start. Um, Before we start, no, I will just give you a little bit context. So I mean, what is about. So I'm sure that you know who is this guy. Yeah, his name is Kyle Sims. Kyle Simpson. So he's the author of the
By the way,
series of.
sorry to interrupt, Danyar. I think that
Yeah.
we still see the first slide of your presentation.
Wow. Wow. Wait a sec. So, guys, maybe this internet connection is bad. So, let's make it again. So, I will try to share my screen again. Wait a sec. So, Windows, entire screen. Let's do like this. If I will do like this, can you see my screen right now, guys? Pavel?
Yeah, we can see the first slide.
And so, what,
Some
what right
quote.
now?
Yeah. And now let's go to Kyle.
I guess it's not that's what I am like.
Yep.
What you can see right now. So let's
We
start
see
in
Kyle
again.
Simpson and his book. Not
Okay,
the
so
first slide.
let's
Mhm.
yes, first slide. So let's start it. So yeah, get let's rewind back everything. So let's start with this quiz. I will give you a little bit context of this quiz. So as you know, I just already explained that JavaScript is a lot of like surprise can us with unexpected behavior. So let's face with ChatGPT, who knows this language better. And this book, this quiz about um, about was inspired by the Kyle Sims, not by his books, but by his like lecture that called the What the GS. So yeah, uh, it's kind of a we have a such kind of inspiration of make it is the does all the JavaScript developer know this like tiny thing in the JavaScript? And I also was curious about JavaScript. Does the ChatGPT know this thing? So I wanna make a such kind of quiz with you guys and with ChatGPT. I already knew the response of the ChatGPT actually, and so I would like to know your responses. So we will play Kahoot. It's such kind of a quiz. So if you never before work with Kahoot, I will explain you. Please don't be afraid. So let's start our quiz. Let's face with the ChatGPT and know who the know language better. So let's start. So uh, I will start the Kahoot. So guys, it's easy to get into that. So as you can see, you see here the QR code. So the QR code will go to the website it kahoot.it, and you can just type this input. So let's give a moment for the players to join. Yeah. Pavel, could you please tell me that you see my screen, right?
Absolutely, all good. All good.
Good,
And we're waiting for players.
good.
By the way, I'm super curious to know who is the
Mhm.
best at coding with JavaScript. Is it AI, ChatGPT, or our developers?
So I know the actually responses of ChatGPT, and I surely can say that it's can surprise you.
In a
So
bad
let's give.
way or in a good way?
I cannot like spoil it, so I will keep it the secret. So guys, wait for you.
Well, you can say that they might surprise me in a bad way. So in this like bad way, we still have two variants. Actually, one variant is that it
You
knows
know this.
very well and it knows in a bad way. So yeah.
Yeah. So let's give a more minutes to join, guys. So actually, a lot of developers really afraid of AI that it's like can how to say replace us in our job. So let's find out. So if they have any chance uh, to make it. So guys, I should you warm you up that questions here. It can be not specific of the. It can be. It's rarely happened in the practical area, but it's something that um, identify your understanding of the JavaScript. Yeah.
I guess
Let's give
let's
it.
wait like one more minute tops and then we can
Yeah.
go. Okay.
Yeah.
And one rule, I assume, no chat GPT while answering the questions, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
So let's wait one last minute and let's start. And let's start, guys. Please get ready to the first question of the quiz. So, first question of the our quiz. What result of this expression? So we have a max value more than 0. We have 3 answer, 4 answers, And 6 answers, 9, 10, 11. Yeah, of course, we have all the answers. So let's see the. Oh, it's surprise, but the three like participants say that it's like false, but actually it's true. In the next slide, I will explain why. So let's see our tournament like tower. So Alex is on the first. So max value, it's a value that JavaScript can work with. So it's maximum number value that JavaScript can work. So it's of course it's more than zero. So it's if the more than this number, it will be infinity. So let's see the answer of ChatGPT. So ChatGPT was right about it. So he just give the what it is, and they say that it's true. So let's go to another question. So true false question, what will be result in this expression? And right now we have mean value less than zero. Yeah, it's 50-50 right now, but it's false. I will explain why. So after we can see the like leader of this quiz. So guys, mean value is positive value. It's not like negative value. It's value that nearest to the zero. Like something like that we know that between like 1 and 0 there are like a lot of like infinity number, and so the closest number to the zero is this mean value. Yeah, and it's positive. So let's see what chat gpt its answer. So actually it was right. So if you just loosen this like question, maybe ChatGPT can replace us, no? So let's face with other question. What is the result of the next expression? Null more or equal to zero? Last 5 seconds. Yeah. So it's true, guys. And seventh is for like was like they like choose it the incorrect response. So let's see the what we can see on our like leader. And Victor Soroka, it's on the first. Yeah, let's see that what ChatGPT has answered. Before I will just give the response, I will give a little bit explanation. So number, so we have a conversion number. So I mean number conversion. So now if we have one of this operator will be have a number, this will be number conversion. So now will be convert to the zero, and we will have instead of the null we will have a zero. Zero more or equal to the zero. Yeah, surely yes. And ChatGPT again was right. So will the ChatGPT will always right? So let's see another question. So what's in the result of the next expression? Right now we have I would say not a number. Is it equal to the not number? Yeah, answers false. Let's see the leaders. Victor Soroka. Well done. Alex is get back to the top. Ipamer, you're good. So not a number. It's not actually. It's not equal to any value, include itself. So in the like past time, actually we use is not a number. Other like to exactly know is it a not number or not. But before we use like stringified, and after that like compare with the string version of it. So and ChatGPT again was right. So yeah, I know that you're a little bit maybe uh, sad about like this one, but let's see the another question. Maybe you will success into this question, guys. So yeah, I will can little hint. So I guess this hint no needed. Yeah, it's true. The right answer was true. Let's see the leader. Oh, Victor Sorok on the top, Alex, and E. I don't know. Like, let's see what see the explanation. So first we will get this one, this expression. So one less than two. Yes, true. Instead of this expression, we will have a true. If we have a true, true and number in expression, so true will be converted to the number. True will be converted to one, and the one less than three, it's true. So answer will be true. ChatGPT was right. Okay, let's keep going. So true false questions. What is the result of the expression? So it's a reverse it. Reverse the thing. So yeah. Let's and that's all. And that was true, and most of our participants of our quiz selected right. So let's see who's first. Victor Soroka. You are your best actually. So as you can see, so first we have this one, three more than two. Yes, true. And we have like the expression that like true and true will be converted to the number. So true will be one because it's truthy value. So one more than one, oh, one less than one, false. It's of course it's like will be false. So JavaScript again right with this answer. Yeah. So let's see the next question. Guys, be careful with answer. You have 10 seconds left. 5 seconds left. Okay, only three developer is like responded right, and I will explain why. So I guess you're really astonished of this thing. So right now we have E on the first, Victor on the second, and Alex on the third position. So guys, uh, actually, when we use this dot compilator, think that you will write float number, and it will expect the uh, integer after that. So it will expand the number after that. So if you write something like this, so after that you will write some methods. It will give a syntaxes error, and also in order to use this like this, so please use this one brackets, or give a space between the number and the invoking the method. So yeah, so let's go. What is the result of the expression? So I give the 30 seconds for this. Please think really carefully about it. So stringify of the array of nulls, of three nulls, what it will be converted to. So guys, and that's all. So response will be blue one. So I'm sure that you are really astonished about it. So let's see what's happened. So in order to you to be like sure about it, so I use a console and the like DevTools to make it like sure. So let's see the answer of ChatGPT, and he was wrong. It was wrong actually. Guys, it's mean that ChatGPT like not always can see the all the like underneath of the JavaScript of the all other language. So be careful. Even the ChatGPT can hallucinate and responds wrong. So it's give the wrong. It's mean that it will stringify to the null, comma null, comma null, but we will have only string with two comma. So what is the result of the next expressions? Last 10 seconds, guys. Let's beat ChatGPT. 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, so the right answers will be blue, and I will explain why after seeing the leader of the. So yeah, we have someone to come from the bottom. So let's start. So I will explain a little bit what it is. So when we have this like plus operator, it's mean or yeah, like either it will be string conversion or number conversion, but it's if there are no number no string, it will be always string conversion. So array will be stringified, so array will be stringified to the strings, and we will have a concatenation like this. So yeah, and ChatGPT was right in this answer. So let's go to the next question. So what the result of the expression? So we already deal with that, guys, didn't we? Because yeah, but right now we have a null. Last 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and that's all. Actually, it's again blue one with the 2 comma. So guys, it's the same or the same that it was before. So and again, ChatGPT was wrong about this response. So when we use the ChatGPT, so try to be really careful what you just copy paste. Try to always verify it with a unit test or with a like manual test because it can just sometimes hallucinate. So yeah, it's tool, but like not like silver bullets for everything. So next question. So object plus array. What will be the answer? Both of them is empty. Yeah, guys, I see the differences of the like response of developer here. So now the right answer will be 0, and I will explain why after seeing the list of leaders. Victor Soroka, keep going. That's good. So when you do like this, a compilator think that it's like two thing. It's not like object. This will consider the block code. So like the if or a switch like block. So and after that we have only this one. So it will consider the like plus operator with a like unary plus operator that convert the array to the 0. So it will be 0. So ChatGPT was right about it. So he will explain that it's like not empty object, but it's like kind of context and treat like a block of code and etc. So yeah. Next question, guys. What's the result of the expression? So right now we just change the like place between array and the object. Let's see is the response will be same. And guys, like most of us like was right. So it will be object, and let's see the who was right in this case. So Victor Soroka, good. Pavel, you assert, and OLO and the second one. So I already say that when we have this plus sign, this will be concatenation. If there are no like number, this will be concatenation. So the array will be converted to the empty string, and the empty object will be stringified to the object, and empty array plus object array, it will be object. So yeah, let's see the response of ChatGPT. Again, ChatGPT was right, so maybe it's not that much bad tool for us. Let's see. So let's test your knowledge again. So please, you have only 15 seconds. Please think about before you will respond. 10 seconds left. Pay attention to default on the top. And that's all. So guys, it's a blue one. I will explain why it's happened. So majority of our think that is like four. I'm not like not like four of us, or five of us think that is one. I will explain why it's not an correct one. So guys, so when we have a default don't have a break here. If you use the default on the top, always like stop here, because when we have a deal with a switch, it's go to this one because it always will work, and the console log at this one, and not like stop and go to the next console log at second one, and that after that it's like stop. Yeah, it's like this. So let's see the ChatGPT response. Yeah, it's right. So let's face with another challenge. So what will be the response of the next expression? 10 seconds left. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Yeah. It will be undefined and the um, reference error. Most of you that think that it's undefined and undefined. So let's see what it's like why it's like working like this. So guys, actually we like other tech interviewer, I always ask this question, and the majority of the interview like candidates for the interview, uh, they say that let and const don't float, like don't host. They don't have a hosting. They have a hosting, but host reference error. So if you use let before this assignment, so it will give a reference error. So it's also have a hoisting, but it's hoist the error. So yeah, be careful with that. So we will see the um, a will be undefined, and second will be reference error. So guys, I know that you can be a little bit astonished, but ChatGPT also was wrong in this question. But I should admit that, like, first I will ask this. I just asked this question, like I type it, and it's responded wrong. But after that, like second time, I will like second time I will just type it. So he like it answered it right. So it's not like the first time, but ChatGPT give me the right response. But guys, be careful with that again. So what will be in the console? We have a function with a default value, ES6 default value, and we pass the null. Last 5 seconds. 4, 3, 2, and way done. So right now, guys, so let's see our list of later. So guys, ES6 default value work only with undefined. So if you maybe you have some function where you use this one and try to give the null, the response will be null because it's work only with undefined. So be careful in your code. So let's see the response of the ChatGPT. Yes, it was right. It say that it can work only with undefined. So let's see the second one. So I have a 1 minute to solve this quiz. So we have the object, 3 object ABC, and we have a empty object foo, and we assign to the using the ABC as a value, the key of the foo object. You have last 22 seconds. Last 10 seconds, guys. 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and done. So I'm really was astonished why it's like 1. So guys, it's right response is no one like choose it right. So it's this one, the circle response. So let's see the our list. Victor Soroka, it's good. So guys, you should know that when we use object other as a key, it always will be stringified. So this object will be converted to the object, and this field, I mean, this key will hold 1, and reassign it the same field again 2, and reassign it the second like third type the same the field. This will be 3. So response will be 3. Yeah. So let's see the what ChatGPT response. And I was really astonished, but yeah, amazing. It's right. It's right. So guys, I remember it's the last one. Now we have proto and prototype. Is prototype of one function equal to the proto of second function, and it's the prototype of the one function equal to the prototype of the second prototype function. So guys, it's true false, and two of us exactly know. So proto is all the function have the same proto but have a different prototype. So guys, I'm not gonna explain all the thing because it's really like topic that is really heavy, and this is why I just give this one the link to the MDN doc link. So I mean about inheritance and prototype chain JavaScript, and please see why you are wrong. So ChatGPT was right, and that was uh, last quiz actually. So and the third we have OLLO, and if I just say it right, Ihvardo. And Victor Soroka, thank you so much, guys, for joining this quiz with me, guys. You're amazing, Victor Soroka. I congratulate you with your um, winning this You Don't Know quiz. Thank you so much for joining us, guys. With you was me, Artek Aftanyar, um, front support community driver was from Spot Asia. So guys, thank you so much for joining us. Pavel?
Yeah, I'm here. Thank you very much for this quiz. And by the way, quick question to you, Daniel. Do you happen to know this person, Victor Soroka? Because for me, it seems that it is some AI bot, some AI agent who really knows JavaScript.
maybe, but he was really good about it. So yeah.
Yeah, guys, I'm just joking. Just joking. Victor is incredibly technical, like guy, and actually, it is like a no-brainer that he won this competition because he possesses really great expertise. So again, like from my side, Victor, congrats. So maybe some sort of like a reflection on this result. Daniel, what do you think? Who is actually the best at coding, developer or AI? What do you think? Just to conclude this quiz?
Actually, a combination of the developer and the tool or the AI can be the good coder. I mean, if a developer will use this tool as a tool,
Mhm.
this will be good. I mean, we cannot be replaceable if we use our modern technology or the AI to our
Right.
work to be on the first. But
Mhm.
we always like decision maker will be human because
Mhm.
you should clarify that, you should just verify that, you should validate the response it.
Mhm.
So human that use the AI will be on the top, I guess.
Yeah, that's true. Thank you very much. You made our Friday really happy Friday, and it was a great conclusion of this technical conference. This fun game, this fun quiz was really peak of this cake, right? Thank you very much, Daniel.
Bye.
Okay, so as we finish our incredible 2 days of this conference, of this Borderless JS conference, guys, I want to take a moment and say big thanks to everyone, to speakers, to organizers, and of course to the audience. So the spirit of the collaboration really defines our community and this conference, highlighting that technology knows no borders. Participants from 64 countries, 12 different communities, and we are super happy to highlight this approach for 3 years in a row. So as we move forward, I really encourage you to contribute, to stay connected with your peers and share everything that you've learned from yesterday and from today. Additionally, please support our YouTube channel, like, subscribe, and click the notification button. It's really that simple, and you'll be sharing the recording with your friends that will help us as well. And by the way, our YouTube channel will store the recording of this event as well as other useful materials, free materials that can help you to keep updated with the latest developments in the technology. So, thank you once again for being part of this amazing journey for this Borderless JS conference. Keep coding, keep learning, keep AIing, keep pushing the boundaries of what's possible. We look forward to seeing you at our next event. But now, bye bye.